Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is another episode of Miramar International College online classes. Today we are going to talk about media treatment. Different types of media are available for use in hydroponics farming. For example, pumice, cocopeat, peat moss, vermiculite, gravel, and even quarry dust. In our greenhouse today, the media we are using is known as pumice. And pumice is a volcanic rock. So normally it can be sourced from areas with previous volcanic activity. In our case, we preferred to use pumice because of one, its porosity, and secondly, its availability to us. Where we are, it is not very far away from Longonot, where there is normally volcanic activities. For the success of hydroponics, media treatment is very key and a very important factor. The reason why it is very important, it is because media must be inert. And by that I mean it should not have any salts, the pH should be neutral, and it should not have any foreign or unwanted materials or particles. So media treatment will rid the media of one, unwanted salts, foreign particles, and it will ensure that the media has a pH of 7 and therefore qualifies it as inert, ready for hydroponics farming. We are now going to look at the stepwise procedure of media treatment. Come with me. The process of pumice media treatment is very simple. It is basically wash the media, disinfect the media, and lastly acidify the media, after which your media is ready for transplanting. While washing the media, you are supposed to agitate your media as she is doing, while using a lot or plenty of water, and to supplement the water that drips or comes with the drip system, buckets can be used to add water to ensure that your media is properly cleaned until the water that is collected in the bleeding tank is clean or is clear. The media itself must also be very clean. This is important because it rids your media of any soil and dust particles. And as she agitates the media, you remove any foreign or an unwanted particle. And by unwanted, I'm talking about soil material, any plant material, or piece of clothing that might have fallen on the media. After washing your media thoroughly, the next step is disinfection. And we disinfect our media so that we kill any pathogens or microorganisms that can cause diseases to our plants. And in this case, we use 65% calcium hypochlorite. And then the water laced with the disinfectant will flow in the media through the drip system, as you can see. So right now, this is water that has disinfectant in it. So as the water flows through the system, all disease-causing pathogens and microorganisms are killed in the process. The next step is to correct the pH. In this case, it will be acidifying the media because, as I told you earlier, pumice originates from volcanic rocks, and in nature, volcanic rocks are alkaline. So before we use them, we have to reduce or lower their pH to appropriate or required pH for the crops that we will grow. In our case, we use food-grade nitric acid to correct the pH or to lower the pH. So as the disinfected, water is filled into the feeding tank and appropriate amount of acid is added, and the water is let to flow in the system via the drip lines. And at the end of your maple trough, you can always test your pH to find out if the media has been acidified. You will make a small hole on your media until you hit the water. Yeah, and then you can insert your pH meter. You can dip it in the water. Then get the reading. You'll have to wait until the clock at the far end of the meter disappears. So our pH reading is now at 8. 8 is still very alkaline for our crops. We target a pH of 6.5. To achieve that pH, we must add more acid so that the pH can be lowered to around 6.5. However, a pH of between 5.5 to 7.0 is acceptable. But at transplanting, we normally recommend for hydroponic purposes that the initial pH or the start pH be 6.5. After achieving the desired pH, the next step is to drench the system using biocontrol formulations. And in this case, we normally use a fungus known as Trichoderma asianum. The fungus begins or initiates the fungal population in the media, which is required by the crops as they form their mycorrhiza. That is the fungal or the microbial environment around the roots of the crop. So after achieving the desired pH, then you must drench your media with biocontrol formulation to ensure that, or to give the crops the oomph to jumpstart them as they begin to grow, to ensure that you have your maximum yield. As you strive to achieve the recommended pH of 6.5, fumigation of the media should also be ongoing. And by fumigation of the greenhouse, you fumigate the walkways, the pest net on the side of the greenhouse, and the glazing on the roof of the greenhouse. This is a very important step in getting rid of any potential pathogens and pests that could attack your crop after transplanting. So in this case, we are fumigating our walkways and our pest net and our glazing using a concoction of organic fungicides and organic pesticides. The concoction includes extracts from garlic, extracts from neem, extracts from Acapulco, and extracts from pyrethrum, which will be able to knock down any fungal spores and any larval stages or eggs of any potential pest that could be laying around inside the greenhouse waiting for you to transplant, then attack your crop. So today we've talked about media treatment, and in particular treatment of pumice media and the necessary preparations that are required before transplanting. In our next episode, we'll talk about transplanting and the day-to-day care of a nursery greenhouse. Thank you very much for joining us today, for paying attention. Until we meet again next time, kwaheri sana.